Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. So let's wait a few seconds until more people are joining. By the way, my colleague Jonathan will manage the chat during this webinar. So if you have any question, feel free to ask your question. We will answer them at the end. Also, let us know if you hear us well before we start officially. Jonathan, all good on your side?
Absolutely. I'm already saying hello to everyone on the chat. I hope you can also hear me well. Please, if there is any issue with the sound, the microphone, or anything, drop it in the chat. Oh,
Great.
Mike is already answering that he can hear both of us really well. So that sounds good.
So, Jonathan, are you ready?
Of
So
course, always ready.
let's start officially. So welcome everybody. Welcome to this webinar. We will speak about hyper personalization. We will speak about how to basically create a one-to-one customer experience. We will show you some strategies. We will share with you also a framework to help you get started with personalization. We will show you some tools. And at the end of this webinar as well, we'll showcase a customer reference to show you how we help one of our customers with this path to personalization. But if you don't know us yet, my name is Samuel Schmidt. I'm the head of sales and marketing at VASS Switzerland. And I'm today with my colleague Jonathan. Jonathan, who are you?
Thanks, Samuel. I'm Jonathan Vertin, working also for VASS Switzerland, located in Switzerland, obviously, and leading the consulting team and working closely to Samuel to build experiences for our clients.
And if you don't know yet, VASS is a growing company, headquartered in Spain. We are right now, let's say, located in 26 countries. By the way, right now, I'm in Madrid. I'm in the headquarters. Jonathan, as he mentioned, is in Bern, I think, right now in Switzerland, right?
That's correct.
Right. So we have about 5,000 people in our company. We generated 400 million last year, and our goal obviously is to grow even more. We have a lot of experience in different fields, but I think what matters for you today is our end-to-end digital experience offering. We can support our clients with digital strategy, with user experience, with customer experience, building website, CMS, e-commerce, employee portal, and so on. But today, obviously, we will speak about personalization. And the other day, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you might have seen one of my posts, and I was, let's say, a bit provocative. Obviously, I'm French. I like to provoke, it's in our blood. So I was saying that I heard the first time the word personalization when I was still a young marketer, around
It was a long time ago now.
a long time ago, exactly. Maybe, I don't know, 13 years ago, in 2010, something like this. I mean, it became trendy. Tools like CMS, customer management solution, started to offer way to personalize experience. Also, A/B tested tools were quite trendy to really offer a personalized experience on the web. But where are we today? Honestly, where are we? Are you enjoying personalized experience? I try to understand on my, let's say, daily digital journey where personally I'm enjoying personalized experience. In fact, I do have some personalized experience is mainly on social media, LinkedIn, uh, Instagram, YouTube, as well Google search. So all, let's say, the big players with a lot of data, they can offer to me, to you, personalized experience. And to be honest, I have to say that we enjoy them. Jonathan, you have also example of where you see some personalized experience?
Yeah, you're talking mostly here about online topics. We also can experience offline experiences that are personalized. If you go to a shop and you're like a loyal customer with a loyalty program or whatever, they can tell your name when you go there. Or in the hotel, if you book a room, sometimes you have these small notes on your bed saying, "Hello, Mr. Bertin, nice to have you here for the night." This is something that we really enjoy as customer because we feel like they are talking to us. But I have this feeling that sometimes it's really within this context within this offline context or within Facebook and so on. And I think you have a really nice small comic afterwards, like describing the limitation of the personalization.
Yeah, exactly. So this is really for me the top of the iceberg here. This social media and from time to time offline one-to-one experience here. But most of the time for the rest of the web, we have to be honest with ourselves. And sorry, in the audience, I don't want to hurt your feeling. If you are working for a bank, for an insurance, for most of the other, let's say, websites we might visit from time to time, it's barely personalized. You send mass email. Your social media is just one. It's not. It's also a bit sometimes too broad. When you do ads, they're barely personalized. And the worst case is when we go on the website. I mean, the website experience is not at all personalized. There is no idea of our previous, let's say, touch point with you, our browsing history, our behavior with your brand or with your company, our purchase history. So it's a fact, it's a brutal fact. Very little piece of internet right now is personalized.
Yeah.
But why? Why? I mean, I don't want to blame you, by the way. Don't get me wrong. We are really here to offer solution, and we'll show you some solution in a few minutes. But why? Why are we here? You are facing some challenges, obviously. Here on this slide, you can see, let's say, two types of challenges, or even more. Let's say about data silo. So because we will see that later on, but you need data to be able to personalize. Without data and without good data, you won't be able to personalize. So often you might have silo at your company. So data owned by different departments. Also, the quality is not that good because the data were collected and it was not meant to be used for personalization. It's more often meant for reporting purpose, right? Complex ecosystem as well here. Often we have many tools, and for you it's hard to navigate many tools collecting data. And then when finally you can get access to all this data, your current technology might not be a good fit to offer personalized experience. So the first block here is all about data quality and technology. The second block also is like objectives. Here, it's not about tools, it's not about data, it's what do you want to do? What are your business objectives? We spoke with our, let's say, clients and with some marketers, and often they have not a clear idea of what they want, or they have an idea, but then they have organizational resistance. People in the company, let's say, are fighting against them. So here also is sometimes a bit hard to sell, let's say, personalization or personalized experience or personalization projects at your company. Another challenge is lack of skills, having the right skill set. You need specific skill sets to start such project. And finally, the cost, right? If you go to your management with a business case and you show that, it will cost, I don't know, $500,000 to personalize, it's not the right approach. You should really show a ROI, how you can increase the conversion rate, or you can increase the revenue, or you can increase let's say, the brand experience.
Absolutely. So, and everything is connected, actually, Samuel. And this is why you will highlight that a little bit later. The process and the project management is that most of the time, every challenge is a consequence of another one. That you cannot identify the ROI because you actually do not really understand what you're doing, and your business is slowing you down with some legal restriction because you actually do not understand your business objective, because you do not have the right understanding of the technology, and because your data is too spread currently in the company. So it's really important that we understand those challenges to prepare the field.
Exactly. So what are we going to see today? I already told you in the introduction that we are going to see some strategies. We will have a big focus on the framework. Here you can see a highlight of this framework. We will give you basically the tools, and here I'm not speaking about tools, let's say real tools, but the tool to really start preparing personalization campaigns and how to basically grow this field at your company. Also, we'll share some tools. So here really some technology from different vendors that you can use at different steps of the journey. And finally, we will finish with one example about a customer where we help them the last 4 or 5 years to build a personalized experience. But what is personalization? I mean, maybe let's all align first on the definition. It's quite simple, in fact. It's showing content that is relevant to your audience, right? That's it. You have to put the right content in front of the right people. This is personalization. That's it. It's quite straightforward to understand. And what you need is data. You need to collect data, clearly, to be able to create segments, because this is also the key of personalization, is to be able to create a subset of your main audience and provide them as well the right message.
Absolutely. This is what we realized, and you talked about that at the beginning. You showed Facebook, you talked about Google, talked about Instagram. You have those personalized messages, content within those platforms, but the data is not shared with the other platform to make sure that we can identify who you are in the end, to make sure that across the different touch points in the customer journey, we'll be able to talk to you with your language and with the right offer that suits you, either because it's the right time for it, because it's the product that might be interesting for you, because you are at the right place. All this information, most of the time, silos, and the purpose of those data activation project is actually to collect the data from several sources and to have one view, the 360 view of our clients or customers, this identity resolution to understand what's the identifier, to understand who are those people and have them in an audience slash a segments to actually share content to them. I think that's the next slide, Samuel.
Yeah, so here's a summary of what you just said. You have to create content. You will need to create content, by the way. With Jonathan, we are really big fan of content marketing. So it's really important as well that you create content here. You have to think about audience. You will collect data to create segment, right? And then using the right channel, so website, mobile, ads, and so on, to push the right content to the right segment of your audience. But now that you get the big picture, let's say, or the main elements of what means personalization and how to tackle that at your company, first things to do, in fact, is what are your goals? You need to define your goals. You need to think about what you want to achieve. Also here on the right and on the left, two big blocks. So on the left first, increasing customer satisfaction, improving brand perception, or enhancing customer retention and loyalty. Here is all about, let's say, yeah, a customer experience. Really, we speak about bringing a better experience to our customer. This could be one of your goals. We have one of our customers who, they don't, let's say, it's silly what I will say, they don't need to make money, but they need to provide great experience. This is our main goal, all about the experience.
And
on the other hand,
I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but I just quickly thought about something also this morning. A really good example to help people understanding that it's what Netflix is doing by checking what kind of series or movies you're looking at and then suggesting new content. And then you even receive a newsletter with the upcoming releases of series that are the same kind of content that you already watched or liked. And I think this is exactly what we talked about here, is like making sure that you come back and you are loyal to this brand.
exactly. And the second block is more about revenue, boosting conversion rate, and optimizing as well marketing spend. Obviously, you can have both, let's say, big goals here. On one side, customer satisfaction, on the other side, increasing revenue. But think about what you want to achieve. And obviously, they might have sub goals, but we don't want to go in this detail, or, well, we will go in this detail when we speak very soon about the framework. How to get started? So now we'll go more in, let's say, in the detail of what could be the steps for you if you want to get started with such project. We just spoke about the goals. Speak about, this must be defined clearly. I mean, it's also obviously coming from your organization. What is the vision and the purpose of your company? What are their, let's say, also commercial goals? Then collecting data. It will be a key aspect of this kind of project. You will need to collect data. And what I will say now, we will repeat that many times. Also, collecting data doesn't mean you have to collect all the data from the company. You can start small and just having a minimal set of data that is meaningful for the audience you want to reach. So building segments, focusing on the right audience at the beginning might also be important. Then next step as well, and here it's a sequence, but it can be done in parallel, obviously. Creating content, you will need also to identify your persona and share with them the right content based on the information you have gathered. And finally, also using the right channel, because for some persona or some type of content, you might use a different type of channel. These are really the main steps if you want to start such project. Now we have an overview, a bit more complex, where we show you a sub-element of the different, let's say, phase. Why we did that? We wanted to highlight something really important here. The data collection that will be used basically to create this unified customer profile. Here, I assume in the audience there is more marketers and IT people. There is a strong dependency on the IT department here, obviously. So be aware and be prepared. You might need to get the sponsoring from the CIO together with the CMO, working in pair to gather the right data, to connect the data source with a solution that can unify a customer profile. This will be one big, let's say, chunk of your project. And Jonathan later on will show you a detailed project plan where we can highlight what should be done on the IT side and on the marketing side. Then when you have the data collected, and even you can start before, obviously, it's all about segmenting, about speaking about your persona, defining audience, defining the content you want to create, and the channel you want to use to activate your customer.
Samuel, here, before you jump to the next one, I always like to say, even if the data collection and unification is strongly related to the IT tasks, I do believe that people from the marketing point of view can also support here. Because, first of all, the alignment between the IT and the marketing is really important. What do we want to do? Is it a project about reporting or marketing? Those tools can be used and support the reporting activities, but today we are talking about hyper-personalization with two different goals, either more revenue, more conversion, whatever, or brand loyalty. This is marketing activities, and this is really important that they understand it from the very beginning, because we often face this issue when we work with our clients, that the IT doesn't really make the differences. What's the outcome of their project? Because the IT project is a project within a data activation project. That's one of the tip I always give. And the second and the third one are quite related, is start with a landscape, work with the IT. What are the data sources at the moment? What are the different solutions that you have, that you provide to your customer, or even internally that you use, where you collect data? And when you have this map of solutions, this landscape of solutions, think about what is relevant and useful in this project. Do not just paint and link the data because they are interesting. You don't care about interesting data. You want data that you can activate, because the more data you will map, the more effort it will be for your IT services. So start small, think about what's relevant regarding the business goals you set a little bit earlier in the first phase of the project.
Yes, great advice, Jonathan. And now we want to share with you a framework to manage your, let's say, personalization campaign. This is obviously a framework for marketers. And Jonathan, can you explain a bit more how we usually apply this framework at our clients?
Yes. And so you just said what we do with our clients, but of course we are sharing that today for free. And this is something I really like with those kind of webinar. It's sharing about what we do and how you can use that to educate also people internally and even run those projects by yourself. We have an approach with several steps. Some of them are iterative, the step number 3, and I will detail those a little bit after. First of all, we think about all these things. What do we want to do? That's really important, that we open our views on that. We have brainstorm sessions and we think about what we want to do. Then we prioritize because in the end, we are working for businesses. We have goals, economics, and we have to focus on what matters and bring value. Once we have that decided, we actually run those experiments. Those experiments are the hyper personalization we were talking about. And last but not least, we scale, but we only scale on what makes sense because we would evaluate the outcome of those experiments. And when we know that this is driving more revenue or more engagement for your business, then we scale to make sure that every audiences or every different solutions or offers that you have provide this hyper personalization to your customers.
Yeah,
So if you
exactly,
go
Nathan.
to yeah,
Yeah, exactly, Nathan. Interesting point. I mean, yeah, our approach is data driven as well to that you internally can sell your result because this is also key. Stakeholders management, you need to show that your efforts are bringing value to the company. And this is now what we will show you how you can really manage this on a daily basis.
yeah, thanks. So what we do and what we recommend you to do is to think about what you want to do. Samuel highlighted already several times. The business goals are really key here. You have to define with your management what do you want to do for the upcoming quarter, year, 5 years. It doesn't really matter as long as you have those goals. Then, if you have goals, you have objectives, and you have a customer journey that should be related to it. So, in order to get a conversion, a lead, or whatever, you know what will happen, the different touch points. And this is what's important because then we will already use the data that you have now to understand and search for trends because we want from the very beginning to focus on what matter for your business and what's already worked to optimize it. And what's really important is that you are marketers. We also have this marketing spirit, even if we are working for an IT company. You have to brainstorm. Every ideas are good, and you have to think about what you can work on your touch points, the different pain points that you have, what could be the solution to ease the life of your customers, of your users, to make sure that in the end it converts. After the step first, you should have a broad list of experiences. Some you will do, some you will not. It doesn't matter. You need to have as much as possible. You need KPI for all of those. KPI are really important. Samuel said at the beginning, most of the companies think about data activation in terms of costs. This is not a cost. Every marketing operation we do is to drive more revenue in the end for the business. So you need to understand what are your expectations for those experiences in order to know if you scale or not and what will be the benefit for your business. Also, we make sure that everything is understood for everyone, the persona, the audiences, the segments, and the channel. We said that the tool will provide you with those audiences. This is why you will see that in the project plan afterwards, there is something that happen in parallel. The output of the IT implementation is also an input for the marketing stream in those projects because you know your audiences, you know your segments, but the tool will help you based on all the data that we collected to build new audiences and segments to activate. And in the end, we'll have this customer journey with the different audiences, what are the right channel for them, and what experiences we want to present to them in order to make sure that this works. And here comes step number two.
Yeah, just before moving to step
Yep.
number two, I mean, this is quite important. Step one is setting the basis. Often when we suggested that to some clients, they are like, yeah, we don't need that. We already know everything. We know our clients. Honestly, I would like to challenge this. Also, what I recommend is to having a third party in this kind of workshop because at the end, it's workshops. It's several days where you have to gather insight and having a third party, somebody from an external stakeholders that can have also maybe know-how of other industry can always help to challenge you because often you are too, let's say, focused or narrow focus on your own business and you forgot to think out of the box. So one advice, bring third party in this kind of workshops.
Like VASS or VASS, for
Yeah,
example.
exactly. Yeah.
Thanks, Samuel. You're absolutely right. And then the step number two is to plan. So, as I said at the beginning, we start with ideas of what we want to do, but then we go into details. I will present a little bit later how do we define those experiences, but at the moment we have to define hypothesis. That's really important. If I do that, I will get this result, and this is how we will then prioritize. If I get this result and it will take this that much effort, then it is something that I should do or not. Of course, for every campaign, we always work with a brief. So here you have a screenshot with, you will get the presentation afterwards, by the way. So you will be able to get those tools and use it for your own business. So you need a brief also because Samuel talked about that earlier. You need content. Every personalization is a content. If you want to show me a specific offer, you need to write the content and produce the assets for this message to be presented to me. So that's important that the people who will produce this content get a brief. And in the end, you need a backlog of experiments. So what do you have at the end of step number two is an action plan, a consolidated view of the key business requirements that you have at the moment to make sure that you will fulfill your goal, the different pain points on your journey, and what are the experiments that you thought about with the team to make sure that we overcome those pain points.
Yeah, just one highlight on the brief. I mean, the brief go beyond just the content. It's also the brief for the campaign, defining, what is the goal of the campaign, how long you want to run the campaign, what is, let's say, the hypothesis of the campaign, meaning what you believe this campaign will bring. I mean, it sounds like doing documentation just to do documentation. It's not true. Again, you have to sell this internally. This document will also help to speak with your management, to show them maybe, look, we are prepared. This is what we want to achieve with this kind of campaigns. So really, we really encourage you to also document and having a structured way to approach this kind of projects.
Thanks. Number three, as we mentioned, we want them to explore and make sure that everything we talked about and all this project is actually landing on your user screens. We want them to feel this hyper personalization. So we will actually start the experiments, run the experiments, and evaluate it. So we have a framework, and this is what we are presenting to you, is that we have those key business requirements, the goals that you have. We think about the pain points, and for each pain point, we have several hypotheses. And then we run them, we evaluate. I will show you a little bit after. We evaluate, and then we validate or invalidate the hypothesis. So for a certain amount of time, as you saw a little bit earlier, it's an iterative approach. So let's use a famous word, a sprint. We have a sprint, for example, for 4 weeks. We define that we have this bandwidth because we talked about the forecasted effort. We will be able to run 7 hypotheses, for example, and at the end of this sprint, we evaluate and we check what works and what do not work, because afterward I will talk about it with scale. So Samuel, if you can move to the next slide. Here, this is what it's really easy to understand, because let's imagine that in our journey we have a pain point. We said that we start with the data that you have. You have your customer journey and there is a drop in the conversion at some point. It could be on a product page, could be on a subscription to a newsletter, it could be lead generation, it doesn't matter. You have here a pain point because suddenly the customer journey stopped. Then we will run the experiments you've talked about. Here, I wanted it to be visual, so I just changed the size of the button. But what you have to understand is that we talked about personalization. There could be several users on the website, some that you know because they already logged in or they're already customers, some that you do not want. And based on that, they could belong to different audiences and get different messages. It could be that based on who am I, or what was my broader history, or my age, the content of this button is different. And then it will help to convert. And we'll check what are the messages that perform the best for each audiences. And this is what's really important, because then we will evaluate, and if this hypothesis that we've had on one specific product to change the content of a button based on I'm a young man or an older lady, then we know that this is something that works, brings more revenue, and then we will apply that to all the product pages that you may have. And this is what's important, is that we do not start with saying we do that for every product. With our first experiments where you have traffic, we validate, and we do that afterward in the scale. So how do we define the experiments? This is what Samuel said earlier with the brief. We always have the what, the where, the when, the why, the how, and we anticipate and calculate the ROI to make sure that we scale or not. Here, it's really important to feel this, because it's not only about one person doing that. This is a project with a team. People will work on a marketing automation solution. People will work maybe on a personalized tool for your website or your mobile app. So you need to precise and define everything you want to do. Let's take an example. I'm a bank. I have customers at the moment who have their bank account with me, and one of my goal is to sell more mortgages to those people. So here I could define several things. For example, I start with what I want to do. I want to have more lead generated or more appointment with one of my advisor on one of my page to talk about mortgage. Where do I do that? I can think about that. I have my website where the people can log in to look at their balance, for example. Same for the mobile app. So I could personalize this logged in part. When do I do that? This is my yearly goal. This is the focus for our business. We could have a campaign, for example, for the first month where we educate the people, and 6 months where we are more aggressive with some call to action to push them. Why do I do that? I explained what are my pain points at the moment. Not enough users are looking for this product at the moment. So we push the content to them. How do we do that? We use this tool to send this message to that audience. And then we estimate the ROI, because we will be able to have the lead generation that we will track thanks to the analytics. And in the end, we know what will be the effort and what was the effort to implement it.
Yeah, just to highlight something, what you said really is clear. It's not only A/B testing, it's really A/B testing on a specific audience. So then we know what kind of message resonate the best with a specific audience. And then I guess the next step, Nathan, is that, let's say we had good results for a specific audience with this new converter, with this new calculator. What do we do next?
Yeah, we scale. What we want to do is that, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if we make sure that this work for this audience, because we created specific content, so it was some effort to create this content. But now we know that it works when we have personalized content for this marketing campaign, then we know that we can target other audiences with personalized message and get better result out of it. So this is really this always this approach, and Samuel said that already, and he will say it again, I'm sure. Start small. Think about a use case that works. The lowest effort or the highest benefits for your company. Test. Make sure that the personalized message bring more revenue, loyalty, satisfaction. Doesn't matter what was the goal at the beginning. And once you're sure, then deploy it.
Exactly. And also by following this framework, you will also build a knowledge base, and you will really understand more and more what kind of tactics works, what kind of content works, and you will be able to perform and scale next experiments. So finally, the project plan. So Jonathan, there is a lot of blocks here. Can you
Yes, of course. I will not go into the details. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I just highlighted two main things. You mentioned that at the beginning, but on your slide, it was like first IT, second marketing. But when those projects are running, and this is why you need to be prepared also, people here listening to us, that it's not like, hey, IT will take care of it for X weeks and then we jump in. Absolutely not. There is two streams, and those two streams will run in parallel. The IT will need your support. So this is the blue block that we have here. There will be tasks for the IT departments. They will have to build the connectors between the different solutions that you will need to activate this data, but they will do that with your input. And on the other hand, once those tools will be set up and ready, thanks to the capabilities of some of them, I will mention a few of them later. Some have AI capabilities and they can provide and think about patterns and define audiences for you. And the sooner you have them, the sooner it's an input for your marketing stream, the yellow one, to make sure that you prepare your experiments based on data you have and audiences that you actually have in your tools.
Great. So now, before speaking about the customer references, we just prepare for you a overview of the tools. We don't want to make it too complicated, but
Yeah,
there is some tool that you should understand. Jonathan, can you also let explore this slide with us?
absolutely. Here, the goal is not to list all of the tools. Of course, if anyone is interested in every tool that exists on the market, just drop me an email and I will send you an exhaustive view of all the tools I know at the moment. What I want you to understand is that there is several tools for each part of the project or each activities. And then also for the block in the middle, there is two kind of tools. So let's start first from left to the right. At the beginning, we talked about data collection. You need analytics tools. I just mentioned here a few of the famous one, Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, Matomo. Here you will get some data about behavioral things that are happening on mobile apps and whatever. You will also have things like a CRM, maybe some backend system, some accounting system where you have value about what's happening at your business. All these tools are the silos Samuel mentioned at the beginning. But then you need to break those silos. And this is where the unification starts. Either you use tools that are meant for data activation, for hyper personalization, like Adobe RT CDP. But you can also build a data lake on Google BigQuery, for example, or with Salesforce. It doesn't really matter at this stage. This is two different approach, but you need to have all this data that you need, not all the data, all the data that you need in one single source of truth, cleaned and ready to be analyzed by those tools. And here you have the segmentation and the audience builder. It could be, once again, Adobe's RTCDP, Salesforce with their marketing solutions, IBM, Oracle. Here it's really important to understand that you have two kind of products. You have the suite vendor and you have the pure players. If you look at the first line, you will see Adobe CDP, Adobe AGO campaigns. There is tools that comes with a suite. This means that if you have all the tools within the suite, the integration will be easier. But on the other hand, if you step out from this suite, it will require extra effort to integrate it and implement it. So on the other hand, you have pure players like Segment, Tilium. They are focusing on this customer data platform. That's the name of the tools, the CDP. The CDP is collecting the data, doing the identity resolution, and giving you those segments, those audiences that you can activate afterwards. They're pure player. You can do whatever you want with them, but the effort in terms of integration will be a little bit higher, but it might be a better fit for you if you do not use a suite, but you have several tools. This is what I wanted to highlight here, is that do not focus on the names you know right now. Have a clear understanding of the solution on the market. And also, I talked about this landscape at the beginning. You really need to understand what are your sources, what are the channels that you have at the right, the channels, because based on what you want to do, it might be more interesting to go for a suite. Might be that the license costs are higher. I want to be transparent, but the implementation is lower because you will need less integration. Or maybe a pure player that will be cheaper could be an alternative, but will require more effort in terms of integration. So this is something that we, with Samuel and our team, work on daily basis, doing those kind of recommendation and project calculation for our client. So please do the same also internally to present those activities to your client, to your internal clients.
Yeah, obviously at VASS, we are a partner with most of these vendors. So we can help you, obviously, but also our message is, I repeat again, start small. I don't want that you feel overwhelmed now with all these tools here and that you need all of them to get started and get result. You can start small. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, you already have some tools. You might have already analytics for sure, some marketing automation tools. Having a personalization tool like Target could be a good start. But yeah, we can help you to understand what tools are needed based also on your goal and building a roadmap together.
Yeah. There is absolutely some shortcuts here that can help you activate the data as soon as possible.
Exactly. So we will go in the last section of this webinar, let's say 5 more minutes before moving to the Q&A. We will highlight one reference. We have to hide the client name, but it doesn't matter. So the client and his challenges were the following. So he was doing barely no personalization, no segmentation. And also just to give you some more context, the client, even though I cannot say a name, is, let's say, a global player selling products online via websites, e-commerce, and as well having store in different places in the world. So yeah, almost doing no personalization, wanted to move to more an advanced and data-driven micro-segmentation. Also, one of the challenges, obviously, unifying all the data sources, understanding the purchase behavior, the web behavior, and as well the on-store, so the offline behavior, building as well some statistic to target user at the right moment. And as their customer were often traveling, let's say, they wanted also to push, use geofencing, push to really trigger some action at some point and to activate the user at the right place. So here, obviously, nothing happened overnight. And this is why we want to show you this slide. It's because it's a journey. I mean, you can have result every year, obviously, because you need to show to your management some result and get budget for the next year. But it's a journey. You have to start small. And so when we started to work together in 2019, they were almost doing no personalization. And you know what happened in 2019, 2020? It was COVID. So for them, it was really a need to start to get more, let's say, online presence and as well to accelerate the sales. And the first phase was to do what we call magnetic content. So basically, people were able to define what kind of content they like. So they were defining, let's say, favorite content, favorite categories, and then we were able to push to them content based on this category. So quite straightforward, quite simple, already bringing some results. The step where we are now is, let's say, the first step of personalization, where now the content adapts to the user based on the interest of the user, based on his profile, based on all the data we collected over the last few years, right? So we can offer basically to the customer the next best offer on many channels. This is where we are right now. And for us, with this client, the future will be what we call hyper personalization. It's this one-to-one personalization where also the message can really adapt to a one single person. So you and your colleague, even though you're in the same segment, you might have still a slight different message, a slight different, nuance in the message. It's getting also more easy to implement thanks to large language model, like ChatGPT, let's say. So we can also generate content on the fly and send it to the right person.
I do believe
yeah,
that this is really interesting, Samuel, and this is why I had it also in my slides about the tools, but I didn't want to mention it. It was an issue 1 or 2 years ago. The content factory couldn't provide enough content for all the use cases, all the audiences, all the offers and services. And now we saw it because we already ran one proof of concept this year already using the AI and generative AI, that we can finally have this level of personalization with the users.
Yeah, it's also one of the messages, when I was a bit provocative saying that 10 years ago, people started to speak about personalization, and in 2024, nothing is personalized. Everything is here. You have the tool, you have the methodology, you have experience from other customers. So it's now time really to start implementing that. And how we approach this, let's say, project as well. When let's say this year, I mean, I don't want to go into detail of the experience that we have run, because we run many experience and many campaign, but basically it should give you a feeling like what we can do on a daily basis. Here, using Adobe Target. Adobe Target is a tool to basically run personalization. You can do A/B testing, and so here what we are testing basically is what kind of product recommendation works the best for a specific audience. So we test different product recommendation, and then we can choose which one is the best. And it is basically one experiment, you see, and then we scale that to different product pages. Another experiment as well here is to have something more like custom audience, custom attribute based. So also here, based on the audience here, you can see this is the same page, but based on the audience, we change a bit the copywriting here. So here I speak about content, but again, this little change based on the audience can drive more revenue, and this is why basically we implemented that. A last example here is based on behavior, also based on your previous purchase history, based also on your let's say behavior on your browsing history, where you click on the website. We can identify as well in which segment you might be. Let's say if you're an anonymous user, and as well then display to you something that might be relevant. So here, obviously, we have a simple example. Based on your behavior, you are more a woman or more a man. And so this is a kind of scenario and experiment that we run, and then we are able to scale that on different product pages, landing pages, and part of your website or other channels. Finally, the results speak for themselves. This table is quite ugly to read, but what is really important to see is that at the end, over the last, let's say, 5 years, from 2019 to 2024, so we were able to deploy this, let's say, methodology over 16 countries. And as I said, we started small. We only started on few markets with really, let's say, what we can call an MVP approach, right? And we show some results. We were able to scale that worldwide. And finally, all these different campaigns that we run boosted the revenue from the e-commerce of 16%. So it's quite interesting growth for this company. So finally, key takeaways. So yeah, we are just in time. We will release you in a few minutes. So I have one takeaway, and I repeat that many times, is that start small. For me, I believe this is the key to the success. Or let's say, if you want to fail, try to do everything at the same time. Start small. Just try to understand what kind of use case, business case will resonate or will drive revenue, right? Focus on this one. Build a great scenario to really increase the conversion or the revenue based on one specific scenario, and then show some proof to your management and scale, run more and more campaigns. So this is really my key takeaway: start small. And you, Jonathan?
I'm about to talk just to show everyone that I'm still here, but I'm fully in line with you. You stole mine. For me, same. It's about your business goal. Think about that first. Do not think about a project where you have all your data gathered in one place and then you will see what you will do out of it. Think about what you want to do, then collect the data that makes sense, build the audiences that you can activate with the content that you can produce, and where it impacts your business and solve the pain points. This is really key. And this is why we insisted on that with Samuel. The step one and the discovery at the beginning of the project is key.
Exactly. Last slide before going to the Q&A. So first, thank you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate to share with you our know-how. We would like to do more webinars, creating more content next year. You will get right after, when I end the session, you will get a survey. Please take 30 seconds and give us a ranking so we know what you can improve in the future. Also, you will get a follow-up email very soon where you can directly contact us. You can also take a screenshot here and send us an email if you have any question. We won't share directly the material that we show you in this presentation. If you want to have access to this material, please come to us. We can do 1 hour session, understand your pain point, and guide you through the material and tell you how you can use it at your company. Jonathan, I hope people were not too shy, and well, thank you also, Jonathan, for your time. Let me know if there is any question. I will stop sharing now.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm having a look at the chat at the moment. So we have a tool for Q&A. I saw that there is something in the chat, so I will start with the chat and then we jump on the Q&A functionality. So in the chat, we have a question from Ramona. You mentioned Netflix. Does that mean that it's only for big businesses? Yeah, thank you for asking. That's true that I mentioned one of the most famous company in the world at the moment regarding content and streaming, because this is obvious for everyone. Everyone will understand. That's why I used it, but of course not. It's not only for businesses that are doing activities worldwide. It can also work on smaller markets. The only thing we need is enough data, I would say, enough customer to make sure that when we run those campaigns, we have enough material to make sure that we can actually personalize, build those audience and so on. So for example, if you're in a bakery in a corner of a street in Zurich, unfortunately, it might not work for you because we will not get enough data and you will not get a database big enough to make sure that we will personalize and increase the revenue to cover the cost of such project. But if you're in insurance on the Swiss market, for example, if you're an e-commerce that can deliver worldwide product, and it doesn't matter if your headquarters are in Switzerland, in the UK, or in South America, you can do that because your impact is bigger. I hope it answered the question. We have another one in the chat, so I will not jump to the Q&A right now. Anyway, if there is question that we cannot answer by the end of the webinar, we will do a follow-up with you. Samuel, we have then in the chat from Michael. At the start, you mentioned that most companies don't really do personalization. I think it's you, that one, Samuel. Why should I go through the effort and push my company to step out of the norm and change this? Is there even a benefits to being the first besides the costs?
Yeah, it is a good question, and maybe it's why people don't really invest. I think the last decade, we have seen that many companies were investing in, let's say, acquisition of clients, and now we have a lot, these companies have a lot of, let's say, customers, or maybe not customers, but at least prospects in their database. It's time to activate them. So this is why I believe personalization and offering a dedicated message to your existing audience might help. And yeah, so I still believe the costs are not that high compared to basically the ROI.
Thanks, Samuel. So really sorry for the people in the Q&A. I will take one of the Q&A because some people are dropping questions in the chat, so I will answer one in the Q&A. We have Florian asking, so I will click on answer live. We have Florian asking, what timeline do you foresee for an hyper-personalization project from start to implementation? So I imagine by implementation, you mean that your customers or your users will get these new messages tailor-made for them. I will answer the generic answer that everyone says. It depends. But as I don't want to be that generic, I will give some examples, some ideas. For a company that is probably providing services on a specific market, like in Switzerland, where you will have 6 or 7 tools to integrate. Let's say you will have an analytics for your website, an analytics for your mobile app. You may have a CRM, you may have an ERP, maybe some other custom-made solution, some backends that you have where you have some datas. Then you want to use a data lake or a CDP to gather all this data, and then you have 3 to 4 channels to activate, like mobile with push notification. You will have personalization on the website. You will have ads and retargeting on social media, for example, or display. And you will have, in the end, for example, your website where you can personalize the content. Taking this scenario into consideration, I would say that you will need 3 to 4 months to prepare everything. So we'll have 2 to 3 weeks for the discovery, understanding what you want to do and what kind of data we will collect. Then you will start the implementation with your IT team for around 2 months. Then you should already have some input for your marketing teams, but the pure technical stream should be, in the end, from discovery to implementation, around 4 months. And then you will be able to run those experiments. But this is, you mentioned implementation. For you, implementation is the IT. Then after 4 or 5 months maximum, you should have something working. But in the end, we talked about this iterative approach. This means that those projects should never end. You will always have new business goals. And as long as the data that you collect and that you reuse to build your audiences works, you can continue and do more and more experience with your customers and then provide more benefits to them. But in one sentence, if you have 4 or 5 different sources, up to 6, let's say, and 3 to 5 channels to activate, and you want to use this data to send personalized messages, you should consider 3.5 to 5 months to implement those kind of projects.
I saw a question that is gone, but it was quite interesting. It was about the pain points and what are the biggest challenge that company face. Well, right now we are surveying and interviewing our customers as well, people on the market, marketers focusing on in Switzerland because we are from Switzerland. And to be honest, and to be direct here, what I see is the biggest pain point is that they have no, let's say, no clear strategy. They, in fact, don't really know what they should do, why they should do it, and it's a bit a pity here. So this is the biggest challenge. Then, obviously, when they are ready to get started, they know what they want to do from a business perspective, then second challenge is data collection, I can see, and often the friction with IT. I mean, this is a challenge that we face in different projects, not only in data activation project. Here as well, it's like this pain point, how to really start the project. And again, here's the issue often is that they want to do everything. Recently also, we faced this issue that they wanted to just collect everything, you know, and it's hard to tell them that it will be just a pain and that they should start small. Maybe a last question. I see one from Javier, but maybe here, honestly, I'm not technical enough to answer to you, Javier. What I suggest is that we come back to you with one of our experts via email. And Jonathan, did we cover everything? We are in time as well. Maybe we should close the webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. All the questions from the chat. Yeah, sorry, Javier. Here, I want to answer yes, but of course, it really depends if this is a requirement that there is tools that can cover both website and app. There is tools that are better for website. There is tools that are better for in-app, but it really depends what you mean by in-app. For example, if it's a push notifications, maybe it's different than having a specific banner implemented within an app. So here, I'm pretty sure, and I would be really happy if you can stay in touch with us. You will get really soon a thank you email where you can schedule a discussion with Samuel, myself, and other experts. And here, based on what you have in mind, because you probably have a use case in mind, we can answer your question with more details. I'm really sorry that we cannot go in this level of details right now.
Anyway,
you already answered. Thank you very much.
Great. So thank everybody. I mean, we are just in time. 1 minute to go. Thanks everybody. Really appreciate your time. Give us a good ranking so our management let us continue, and we will do more webinars and more content in 2025. I wish you a nice Christmas holiday and end of the year holiday, and see you soon. Thank you, Jonathan. Merci beaucoup. And,
thank you, Samuel. Merci. Have a great day, everyone.
VASS, complex made simple.